Oh, oh no, oh no, no audio. I told the folks in the Discord. I told the folks in the Discord that we were having some technical difficulties, so it would not be launch day if we didn't have some issues. So here we are. We're back. I assume you can hear me now. We're back. We're live. Sweet, sweet intro. All those words for nothing. On a positive note, I didn't say anything worth a shit. So thank you for hanging out and dealing with my third-party microphone and camera providers. I mentioned also in the Discord, I was having camera difficulties and microphone difficulties this morning, but thank you for dealing with that for the first minute. Again, me saying it again to you for the first time. If this is your first time around here, the Spike Week Discord has been absolutely on fire already this morning. Everybody's excited for the launch of Best Ball Mania 5. Thousands of messages have already been sent in the Discord this morning, which is kind of insane to think about. There's a link to that. The folks will be giving out all the spicy takes and all the awesome conversation. It's the best place, in my opinion, my biased opinion, to talk best ball, and it is 100% free. If you are looking for some rankings, some strategy content, you see my guy B Kurt in the chat posted an awesome review of last year's drafters tournament. We'll have all kinds of that stuff going. I started working on some additional content to get us ready. Some things that I think we can pounce on immediately, which we'll of course talk about here today in Best Ball Mania. Some strategic angles, all of that stuff, the rankings, the content, roundtables, etc., are in our Best Ball Almanac. There's a link to that in the description as well. It is just a one-time purchase of $69.99. Very nice price. And you don't have to pay again, and you're covered all the way through the end of the regular season. So in-season tournaments, this is your first year playing best ball. Underdog's going to have what they call, what I assume, again, will be called the Resurrection, Best Ball Resurrection. Drafters will have an in-season tournament. DraftKings has in-season tournaments every single week. We get to redraft every single week. Oh, your guy got hurt. Guess what? You get a second chance. We will have you covered in the Almanac. One-time purchase. You get the rankings and the content and everything for that until the end of 2024. Now that we got through the technical difficulties and the housekeeping, we're all excited. We're all excited to draft. Apparently, my computer is just on the absolute fritz this morning. I'm logged out of Underdog. My audio's not working. My pets' heads are falling off. I really don't know what the heck is going on here. So let me get this all situated. Speaking of the Discord, if you want to know why it's the best place to talk best ball and to talk about all of this, not the poor dogs. They're not really falling off, but he is laying down. One of them is laying down right here, and one of them is laying down over there. I posted the rankings for drafters. The rankings for Underdog should be up just about. Actually, they are up within the Almanac. I got to make a couple of tweaks on Underdog because there's a little bit of automation and some players maybe got left out. But the rankings are up. You can use them. They're downloadable as well. So you purchase the Almanac, you go in, there's a download button. It's super easy. Upload them to the site. Bingo, bango, bongo. I don't have a lot of other stuff other than the Discord. Make sure you go in and join the Discord, and let's just draft, shall we? You don't need to hear all my BS. Is it even open? Not yet. I guess you got to listen to me talk. That's why, see, what you didn't understand is I didn't have the audio working at the start, so that you didn't have to hear me talk for even longer before this tournament comes out. A little bit of a shit show of a morning we got going on here. Third-party issues for me. Third-party issues. Delayed by 30 minutes minimum. Another 30 minutes. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Players left out, third-party problems. So if you want to see how the sausage gets made, the initial step of like all the rankings is I have my own like process in spreadsheets and stuff. But there's tons of manual massaging of that. It's not like some BS automated process. And then we have like our own back end kind of admin system where I have to upload those things to. And then as each site kind of launches, we have some processes that run in the background. So the very, very, very first run of a new cycle and of a new season can be, nothing ever works perfect, as we're seeing with Underdog, third party RIP. But we can hang out for 30 minutes, see how it's going, and chop it up. Let's pull up the old almanac, shall we? And we can walk through. We can get a little peek behind the curtain, even if the folks haven't purchased it. If you go to the hub, this is where you'll see all of our kind of strategy and rankings content. I know you guys can't see this drop down, but I'm clicking on this drop down and it will have all your different almanacs. So if you had the MLB almanac, that's in there. The NBA playoff best ball almanac is in there. And then of course, NFL. And then you see all of our different kind of areas where we're posting content and such. Underdog. Yeah. So this is a good one. I like this. Billy says Underdog, so when Underdog loads the slate up, they load up these new tournaments, right? They have to put some form of like ADP and list of the players, because that's how they get preloaded into the drafts when we all hop in there. So it's nice to see. So let's look at them first, actually. And then we can bounce back over. We can scroll through those initial rankings and see maybe some players that we can spot who might be mispriced, right? Because then, so shout out to Underdog there. They'll give us a moment to get our bearings, considering I can't even figure out my audio or video or anything like that. Shout out Hoosier. Hoosier says, I've been watching and listening to you for a few months. Erik, this morning I decided to sign up at Spike. We can get all the goodies. Let's go. Awesome. So excited to have you. I really do believe I'm incredibly biased and it's the sales pitch or whatever. But everything that we built at Spike Week has been in multiple years in the making of, honestly, a group of total sicko best ball players who just love doing this, take it very serious, and are trying to win at best ball, figuring out along the way what we think are the tools and the content that you need to win and play at this game. And so it's kind of been over 4 years now, us crafting these tools. And again, this almanac and some other things we have in the works. Like, this is what I want to use. This is what Hacker wants to use. This is what B. Kurt and Rob want to use. And so it's not just us building something to sell. It's us building something to help ourselves. And if it helps you along the way, even better. All right, let's look at these rankings. And so welcome, Hoosier. I think you'll enjoy it. If you love getting a lot of Rashad Penny and Damian Harris, but also some Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua, then I think you'll be in a good place. All right, let's hit Vadim's question. On day one, what's your thought process with targeting the mispriced guys? Oh God, this is the $1 million question, I think, because if you watched last week, I did a show where it was a little similar to this conversation we're having right now, in terms of, okay, we need to be prepared, right? We're all excited for these drafts. And if you're just like, whatever, I just want to wing it and have fun because I want to draft, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. This is a hobby. This is entertainment. And so if you don't really care, right, about grinding all these little edges, there's nothing wrong with that. But if we're trying to go in and be pretty intentional about these teams that we're drafting right now, because we're drafting teams at the end of April, we don't know the schedule. We don't know how camp's going to shake out. We don't know preseason, offseason injuries. We don't know so much. And so if we're willing to accept that risk by drafting at the end of April, I think we should go in with the plan of, why are we drafting now? Right? If we're drafting right now, it's to do probably exactly what Vadim is saying. There's mispriced guys or guys that we think, even if they're not like immediately mispriced, we expect like eventually will not be at a price that we'll be able to get later in the future. I'm trying to think of just even some recent examples. The easy ones are like rookies, right? So let's just look at here, we'll pull up my guy, right? When I search, so this is not that bad, but Malik Washington is, for everyone, if you're new here, you're going to hear too much Malik Washington talk relative to any other channel. But Malik Washington is going at 204 ADP. That's lower than where I have him ranked, but I don't think it's crazy egregious. There's a guy who I wanted to. So here's an example of a guy who I have ranked. So he's a rookie. Luke McCaffrey was drafted by the Washington football team, the Washington Commanders, and because it's day one, because of how the site has to load in their players, he has no ADP. I don't think he should have no ADP, right? Let's look at another example. Oh my gosh, Jalen Wright, 137 ADP. So that is not necessarily, I mean, maybe that's a value to somebody, but that's not one of those examples. Here's maybe the best one. I don't know. It's up there. We'll have to walk through when we go back and forth. But Ben Sinnott, so has no ADP, goes in the second round to Washington also. So clearly Washington. And funny enough, there's a Jaden Daniels question as well. So these Washington guys that I bring up have 0 ADP. And that's one of these situations in these early drafts where they're not going to have 0 ADP, right? They're going to be, I think I have both these guys in the 150s or 160s in the ranks. We can look at that in just a second. And so how do you go in and balance the fact that in an ideal world, right, if I want Luke McCaffrey and I want Ben Sinnott on my teams, I would get him in the 17th and 18th round because no one else is going to draft them. But we're in a peer-to-peer game, right? You guys are seeing me. I'm specifically calling these guys up. You're not everybody, but there's a certain small segment of us in these drafts trying to get these guys. So I'm competing against Vadim for, let's say, Ben Sinnott. I know I'm competing against, say, B. Kurt for Ben Sinnott. So what I do, here's my general process, is I go in what we're doing right now, and I kind of try to find all those mispriced guys. And then these early drafts, because I'm only going to do a handful, the moment I go into that draft, create a spreadsheet, create a note on your phone, a sticky note or whatever, and then I go into the draft and I queue them all up. And so they are always right there smacking me in the face to be like, don't forget these guys. Don't forget these guys. These are the reason that I'm in these drafts. Of course, if I time out or something that sucks, I don't want to reach on them, but at least I got the guys in that scenario, right? Worst case scenario is, yes, I took Ben Sinnott too high, but I got the guy I wanted to get in this early draft. And then in terms of trying to maximize CLV, right? I'm a little bit reading my room. I see a bunch of you guys in there. I'm going to be more willing to do it, more willing to take that guy earlier. If I get into a draft and it's no badges and nobody, I'm also going to just be monitoring, right? Are they all just falling in line to ADP, or are these guys going and getting their guys? I think you got to be reading that room. And then it's just a little bit of a feeling out process. It has a lot to do with, I think, every single time you get on the clock, you got to evaluate who is on the board at that time. And is there a guy that you can use our rankings, you can use your own rankings. You have the rankings up next year. Nope, I just like this guy better than Ben Sinnott. So I'm still going to wait because it's worth losing out on him to get the better player. But when you get into a spot where maybe even it's murky, I get to a spot where I drafted a 0 running back team, but I already got 5 running backs. I like them all. I'm in a big flat tier, and there's this late round running back. I don't know. Here's a guy who I'm going to draft some of. Kamani Vidal, right? So goes to the Chargers, only has Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins as his competition. He's a guy that's going to be one of my late round running back targets. If I want him, he's in the queue, and I get to the 17th round, and I'm like, I mean, or even the 16th or whatever that cutoff point is for you. And you're like, yeah, I'm just going to take him because the whole point of me drafting right now was to take Kamani Vidal. And so it's a little bit of that, right? A little bit of making sure you're prepared, right? You got to have those in order to find the mispriced guys. You got to know who they are. And then you got to have them ready and locked and loaded to pick. And then you got to kind of read your room and get a feeling out of, okay, this is all that part of becoming a good drafter. Is becoming a good drafter is not popping in and just taking the guy at the top of the queue, the best ADP value, or even structuring your teams well. It's being able to read that room and figure out when to hop in and when to hop out, and when do I try to push. I really, really want Ben Sinnott. What room is the right room to be like, I'm going to keep pushing him. I'm going to keep pushing him. And what room is the right one to just be like, nope, I have him ranked at 160. I'm taking him at 170 because that's a value and I'm good. There's no right or wrong answer, which is part of the beauty of this whole game. But I'm glad you asked it because it is the perfect kind of question right now. All right, let's hit some of these. Let's hit some of these comments because they're gold. I promise you. Where was the? I promise you. D-Max says you're riding with the Commanders again. That was unintentional. Okay, that was completely unintentional. But apparently I am. Yes, and I think the rankings will probably agree that it was wildly unintentional that I brought up the commies again. But just so happens that I do think that they're good values. I actually think I might be higher on all of them, even more than I like relative to ADP than I was last year. There was a question about Josh says how much Jaden Daniels will be too much Jaden Daniels. Yeah. Let's see what we got. Jaden 127 in our rankings. He is sorry, it's loading. He is 107. So I have Jaden Daniels 107 right after Caleb Williams as the QB 13. So Caleb Williams, the QB 12, Jaden Daniels, the QB 13 at ADP 107. So clearly, just sign me up for these Jaden Daniels, Luke McCaffrey, Ben Sinnott stacks. Also really like Terry McLaurin. So apparently, we're just running it back. Hold on, I want to. Yeah, this is good. Hoosier says playing behind Zach Ertz has seemed to bode well for tight ends. This is like we love to draw. I'm not saying your conclusion is stupid, but we love to draw like stupid conclusions, right? I've done this. I did if we extrapolate this game or trends or whatever. Is this not like one of the most true trends that has happened in fantasy football over the last several years? If Zach Ertz is in front of you on the depth chart, you are going to be good probably at the game, and you're going to eventually just take the job from Zach Ertz because it happens every single year, right? Zach Ertz is going to get traded or cut by every single team, and the guy behind him is going to be very good at football. Dallas Goedert, Trey McBride. We're going to get a little Ben Sinnott action here this year. Also, I mean, Ben Sinnott was a second-round pick. Like, he's the tight end too. The NFL, we do the NFL liked or disliked this guy. The NFL definitely liked Ben Sinnott, and I already liked Ben Sinnott. So I don't see a reason why we shouldn't be pretty high on him, given late round tight end. You want to talk about things to think about, not CLV related, but things to be like when I'm coming into these drafts. Why am I drafting? Late round tight end is awful, horrible. And so, you'll see also in the rankings on elite tight ends, I'm much higher on basically every single elite tight end than what I think the market will be. I have to kind of massage that, of course, because I want to be higher on basically all those guys. But you can't get elite tight ends in every single draft, nor do I think you have to. And so we got to find some late round tight ends. And Zach Ertz's backup, who got picked in the second round with not that much target competition, like Jahan Dotson and Luke McCaffrey, like it seems like a pretty darn good spot to me for Ben Sinnott. So far, one of the early, I guess, flag plants. Yeah, this is so true. Dorito says Sam Howell died so Jaden Daniels could live. That is for sure. And as B. Kurt said, don't worry, Sam Howell is still in the rankings. I don't think it's absolutely crazy if something crazy happens in the draft and you get locked out of quarterback, and you're like think about this. If you're looking at late round quarterbacks and it is Geno and Russ and Derek Carr and Bryce Young. If you have a lot of those guys and you said, well, I do have a I have Lamar. Instead of taking Derek Carr, like I would rather take Sam Howell, certainly JJ McCarthy, but like Gardner Minshew, I have up there. And if you're like, I don't really want to do that, and you're looking for some shot at upside and you don't care, that's why I have Sam Howell at pick 225 in the rankings. DK Main is confirmed at $20 this year. Interesting, up from 10 last year. New quarterback, new year for the Commanders. Amen. Amen to that. Yeah, let's look at why Dad asked about Zeke, because Zeke signed this morning. So, goddamn. If you've been in the Discord this morning, the majority of the conversation has been around Ezekiel Elliott, because that's what we do. News breaks, something changes, and if you've been around here, you've heard me and many others talking about how we feel pretty darn strongly that the Cowboys are going to sign Zeke. So we've been out in front of this move for a while. And then obviously it happened this morning. And so I actually finished the rankings late last night before the official Zeke news. So my ranking of him was significantly higher than 206, but I think I have to move him up because of what I expect he'll rise to as well. But we'll be out ahead of the market on Zeke, which is not something I thought I would ever be saying in the year of our Lord 2024. There we go. Daniel Jones, Theo Johnson. I imagine if you like Theo Johnson, yeah, no ADP. So there's a guy for you if you like another rookie late round tight end. There's a guy to keep in mind. Theo Johnson. It's going to be a lot of rookies, right? Where's my guy? Ray Davis, 193. So there's another guy for me that's too low that I'll be wanting to keep in mind. Perfect timing. Literally thinking the exact same thing at the exact same time. First Air says, what's Ray Davis ADP? So we obviously have 193 here. I don't think before pick 100. But he's a guy I'm going to be similarly, like, part of my rankings process and just general process is I'm not like adjusting for, like, I don't have ADP and like it be a part of the equation for players, but I do have like kind of adjustments based on, like, you do want to maximize like the upside of the team as a collective. So I believe Ray Davis is ranked at 140 for me right now. I would take him higher than that, but ranking it right is just a raw list, a straight list of players in a row. It doesn't kind of account. You can't ever account for that nuance. So I do tweak it around a little bit to be like, and maybe I should add notes in there, but where I would draft this guy higher than this, but I'm trying to get ourselves the best value because I don't need to take him, right? I don't need to take Ray Davis at pick 100, even though maybe I would. I don't know if I would yet or not, but I maybe I would in a vacuum consider him significantly higher, but there's no need to do that. And there might be other players who are around pick 100 are I have ranked at 85 or something like that. So it's always kind of a massaging process. Great question from Billy. Do you think Kyren loses some steam with Corum in the house? I do. I very much do. I assume this has him just still, around 13. I bumped Kyren down. I think it's a pretty big deal, Blake Corum. So it's one of those interesting situations where, like, if you said, how does this backfield look week 1? I would say like last year, Kyren plays until he gets tired and comes out and plays 80 or 85% of the snaps, and Blake Corum mixes in a couple of times. But just having another highly drafted player that the Rams need a lot. The reason why, again, if you were around with us during the pre-draft cycle, the big board and the early drafters championship and all that, I could not understand why the Rams would ever take another running back, at least like highly. Like if they took a 6th or 7th rounder, so be it. And so my expectation was they were just going to run it back with Ronnie Rivers as the backup. I thought he looked okay for them. He was the next man up behind Kyren last year, like clear and obvious. So it was shocking to me that they took a running back, especially a running back as high as they did with Blake Corum. And so I'm obviously a big Kyren believer, and I do think he's a valuable fantasy asset, but we would be silly to not say, like, we have to ding the chances that he's a league winner in the 2nd round quite a bit. We can't get anchored to what we thought about these guys before. And I think what you have to do and what you have to be worth a pick in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round as a running back, the bar to clear is really high. And so we should really nitpick these early running backs. Like, probably people would get annoyed. Oh, he's Christian McCaffrey. Why are you worrying about, exactly how many touches he's going to get? It's because I have to pass on every single other player in the entire draft to take him, right? Kyren Williams, I have to pass on so many good wide receivers to take him. I have to pass on other really good running backs to take him. So we have to nitpick them. And I'm going to nitpick Kyren Williams because I think that the Blake Corum thing is a pretty big deal. Amen. Amen, J Mike. What a beautiful, beautiful day. If you're waiting, I'm not going to hop into one of these because I made a thumbnail that was about Ball Mania launch day. I'm not going to pivot to another site. If you're waiting, Drafters is open and running. Drafters.com. Their tournament is a $15 entry and $500,000 to first place. It is only cumulative scoring. So the difference between Drafters and Underdog, if you are unfamiliar, is on Underdog, right? You draft against 11 other people. You got to make it out of your 12-team league. And then you got to make it to week 15, beat a bunch of teams in week 15, make it to week 16, beat a bunch of teams in week 16, and then you make it to the week 17 final. And that's where all the money gets doled out. On Drafters, you just draft against those 11 people, and then you never give a shit about those 11 people again for the rest of this tournament. You got to beat every single other team in that draft, which has its own nuances, but can be a fun, different game. If you're just looking to rip some drafts, Drafters is open. Like I said, it's a $15 tournament. And if you use promo code SPIKE, you can get 100% deposit bonus up to $100 over there. I like this. Yeah, if you will not get any Ben Sinnott's not going to fall to you. You will not get any good CLV unless you hit the like button, as Jake says. This is so funny that you say that. Why Dad says JT feels like the safest running back in round 2 to me, and I agree. I don't know that I want to be drafting second-round running backs for safety because inherently they are not that safe. But, right, if you look at this list, like, I love Jahmyr Gibbs. Awesome football player. He's in a timeshare with David Montgomery. Now, he's much better than David Montgomery. Year 2, take a leap, blah, blah, blah. And he's an awesome football player. But at the end of the day, we're drafting a guy in the second round or the 1-2 turn who, like, is going to have some games where he doesn't touch the ball very much. And he doesn't get, he will get some goal line touches as he did last year, but it's not like he has a stranglehold on those. So it is always funny to me, JT will get well, he's in a worse offense and, he's with a running quarterback, and that takes away from the pass catching upside of the running back. Like, sure. But you know what else takes away from the upside of a running back? Not being on the field. Like Jahmyr Gibbs has to share touches with Dave Montgomery. He has to share goal line work with Dave Montgomery. Jonathan Taylor's not sharing goal line work with Evan Hall, who I do like, by the way. Doesn't have to share much work at all with Evan Hall. So yeah, okay, Anthony Richardson takes a couple goal line touchdowns. David Montgomery's going to take goal line touchdowns from Jahmyr Gibbs. It goes all right. Saquon Barkley plays on the Eagles. You know who steals more goal line touches than any other quarterback in the league? Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts does. And now Kyron's giving touches away to Blake Corum. Possibly. Achane is easily in we know for certain Achane is in a committee, at least with Mostert, maybe with Jalen Wright. Who knows? We don't know what Achane looks like, right? Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd gets drafted there. They brought back A.J. Dillon. Do I think A.J. Dillon matters? No, but they brought him back, right? We're doing the Cowboys. The Cowboys liked Rico Dowdle enough to bring him back. Well, the Packers brought A.J. Dillon back and drafted Marshawn Lloyd. And Josh Jacobs goes, 28th overall, et cetera, et cetera. So I think what we're getting at is the flaws of the majority of these running backs, as great of players as they are individually. It's the best crop of early round running backs from like a talent and especially youth perspective that I can remember. I mean, Bijan, Brees, Gibbs, Kyron, Saquon a little bit older, JT, Achane, like these guys are unreal, but they all have some pretty serious flaws, all of them. So that's something I'm very, very much keeping in mind. And you'll see that if you purchase the Almanac, you'll see in the rankings how I have a lot of things set up is quite a bit more wide receiver heavy early in drafts. This is a totally fair take. if you are someone who is pretty adamant about your playoff correlations and stuff like that, and again, so if this is your first time hanging out with us, I mentioned that week 15, 16, and particularly week 17 dynamic on underdog. So we don't know the schedule yet. We don't know who plays who in weeks 15, 16, and especially week 17. So I do very much like to lean on week 17. Maybe not even as much as some other people do, even though shout out to all of us here. We were some of the folks that originally got on the week 17 thing. I think that if that's a very important pillar of your drafting, yeah, hop on over to Drafters until the schedule drops if you want. But there's also reason to be right. Why am I doing the draft here? Of course, content, but I also do think that I just pulled up a few guys. Like I would love to get last round Ben Sinnott when I think he's going to go in the 150s or something like that. That would be nice. Oh yeah, so it's so funny you say this. I'm not trying to shade anybody. Everybody has different. I'm very weird about amounts of money that are in my accounts. I don't like keeping money on my accounts. I constantly move things in and out, right? Like I still play quite a bit of DFS. Like I'll be playing MLB DFS on DraftKings later. What I'm going to play that day goes in, I win, it comes out, I lose it, I deposit, I deposit again. I'm just weird like that. I hate it. It drives me nuts to like let underdog hold my money and earn interest on it, and not me. I don't know. I'm just weird. One of my weird quirks, I guess. So I constantly, you'll see that like before a stream, if we're doing a Best Ball Mania draft, I got $25 in there, and that's it. I don't play pick'em. I have legal sports betting in Illinois, so pick'em's not for me. I can bet anything under the sun on any sports book in this state, so I don't worry about that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, I love you. I'm not going to say a negative thing about the Lions. They're going to score a ton of points. Their offense is awesome. I get why, Gibbs goes up there. I understand why people are excited for Saquon on the Eagles. It's the Eagles, man. And Saquon's been on the Giants, and he's been like, I get all of it, right? But we see guys on these great offenses still not be the best second round pick at the running back position, especially because running backs have gotten decreased in price so much over the last several years that you're just getting guys later that we never ever 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th round picks that here, let's look at a couple. All right. There's a running back who has done nothing but be crazy productive for multiple years on good offenses, on so-so offenses. Teams tried to replace him, and he kept ending up being the workhorse. He had younger backs who we thought were better alongside him. And then all Devin Singletary does is dunk on Dameon Pierce and Zach Moss and all these guys. And he takes over every backfield he ends up in. Now he lands on the New York Giants. Best Ball Mania 2, for anybody that recalls this, God, we're getting old. Mike Davis kind of did this, right? So Christian McCaffrey got hurt on the Carolina Panthers. Mike Davis took over the backfield, dominated, and was awesome for fantasy. Awesome. Like people called him like 80% CMC because that's kind of what he was doing. He was playing every snap. He was crazy productive. He was like 80% of CMC for no cost. So he leaves. The Panthers don't bring him back. He goes to Atlanta. So everybody says, oh my God, look how awesome he was. He projects to get all the work for the Falcons. He's going in like the 4th round. And it's like, it wasn't even a knock on him. He was, at least in his 1 year in Carolina, he was good. He was great as a real life football player. But that kind of archetype would go in the 4th or the 5th round before. Devin Singletary is that archetype. And now he's going at pick 119 on a half PPR site. So like, I know Devin Singletary is not Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not claiming that he is, but Devin Singletary's pretty good at football in a spot where he's competing with Tyrone Tracy and Eric Gray. Like he projects as one of the biggest workhorses in the entire league, and we can get him much later. but I have to draft the early running backs. It's one of those interesting dynamics. How are you handling the Dolphins running backs, drafting all three? Yeah, that is an excellent question. Right now, what did I say? Achan's ADP is 18. I have what the hell? Oh, on the wrong position. I have Achan ranked 36. So I think that tells you about what I think about Achan. And it's not that I dislike him. It's just he's an awesome football player. I just don't think 18th overall pick with Raheem Mostert, who was ahead of him last year, and then spending pretty real draft capital on Jalen Wright. The perk of Achan is he can pop for big plays, right? He's a explosive big time runner in a situation that's great for that. And I have no problem with that, but I don't want to count on a guy taking a 7-yard carry to the house every week, because even he doesn't do that. He didn't do that last year. He did it a couple times, but there was a lot of dud games in there for Achan. The perk of Achan is you can get some of that, and if something happens to Mostert or Achan just steps up, he can take more of the volume. You needed him to take more volume at this price. Like, don't fool yourself that he'll be fine, on his 8 touches. Even as good as he is, he's not Barry Sanders. Like, he's awesome. He's not nobody, even someone as good as him and in a situation as good as him, can get there on 8 to 10 touches as a second round pick, as the 18th overall pick. He needed something to happen to improve upon his volume. And you never really wanted him to be a 25 touch player, because that means he's taking a bunch of short carries. You want the efficiency, but he needed the role to grow, right? Whether that's amount of touches or snaps, whatever. He needed to elevate that role, which you could foresee with an aging Mostert. Maybe Jeff Wilson is gone, and then it's just like him and Mostert. But then they draft Jalen Wright, and now in order for that role to elevate, theoretically, it probably needs 2 things to happen. So now I'm spending the 18th overall pick on a guy who I'm probably projecting for 10 touches in a game if all things are normal. And then even if things don't go normal, I need 2 guys to go down for him to really, really, really just, if both those guys go down, yeah, I would like Achan. But I can say contingent value about a lot of guys that I don't have to spend the 18th overall pick on. And then again, there's the running back dynamic. So I'm quite a bit lower than the market on Achan. I suspect I'll be pretty close on Mostert and Wright. So those right now, in terms of drafting right now, I'm willing to adjust if Achan falls to levels that I think it makes more sense. I would be happy to draft him if he falls quite a bit. But until then, and I do think he might not fall probably as far as I have him ranked, but I think he might fall to where I'll at least be like, all right, I'm comfortable getting some exposure to Achan across my hundreds of teams, right? But for right now, I think the values are the other 2 running backs. So thinking about drafting now, that's how I would handle it. Let's see. We're going to launch Ball Mania at 1 p.m. Eastern. We're still working to resolve issues. Given this, please be attentive to your drafts. Please keep you. Okay, cool. So 15 minutes. We can hang out for 15 minutes. You guys know me. You guys know me too well. Let's play Sudoku. That's a hilarious name. Does anyone know the buy-in and payouts for BBM5? Yes. They posted them on Twitter. I can share the link in the excuse me, in the chat. Here it is. $25 entry fee. And there's your payouts, Sudoku, in the YouTube chat. I can share it. I can go ahead and share it on my screen. We got a couple minutes. So 1.5 million. They did a great job, by the way. Shout out to the underdog team. No regular season prizes. I think Rudman did a really good job of he illustrated specifically what they were this is perfect. Great tweet. 10% to first. So they didn't want to go crazy on the percentage to first place. Top 20 make 6 figures. Beautiful. Top 100 make 5 figures. Beautiful. And a 529 person final. So it's decent size, but not anything super duper crazy. So you can still, have a pretty darn good sweat if you make that final. And if you max the tournament, right, you spend $37.50 on, is it $37.50? Yeah. Anyway, on 150 teams. If you make the final, you're good. That's awesome. And then not mixing in the regular season prizes like they did last year. Awesome work. Beautiful structure. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I don't want to pivot right now. We'll wait for the launch. Hoosier says, are draft IQ and the draft hacker included in the Almanac sub? No, they are separate. So our kind of model is two-pronged. Essentially, I can, again, give you a little peek behind the curtain. We provide the strategy content, which would be you go to every other site and you're getting draft kits and draft guides and all that kind of stuff. But then we also provide technology to make you the drafter. That's kind of something that you'll use on a recurring basis, as opposed to one, the NFL Best Ball Almanac is this is everything we think you need to draft your teams from a specific player strategy rankings about that year, that sport, that very hyper specific about that. And then we have the tools, which you can use them in battle royale. You can use them in I wouldn't say doing that, but the NFL best ball tournaments on all sites, right? It works on Drafters and DraftKings and Underdog. It works on NBA. It works on MLB. It works on NHL. It works on all that different stuff. And so it's more of this is our technology and tools, and then our almanac is our kind of draft guides, draft kits, and that kind of a thing. Let's see here. Oops. Monty is a great pick at 77. Yeah, I think I might be just a tiny tick lower on DMOT, but not for any. Yeah, I am lower on DMOT. That was drafters, so it might be a little lower because I pushed him down because of PPR, because he doesn't ever catch any damn passes. But I like Dave Montgomery. I like Dave Montgomery at cost better than I like Jahmyr Gibbs. To your point, I'm so on Goff. I think I have Goff pretty close to 119. He's a guy like most quarterbacks. Goff fits this for me. So Goff is at 112 for me. I think Goff. It's I'm not flag plant. Jared Goff is the edge in these best ball drafts. It's he's fine. I wouldn't really make him it really. There's nothing even hardly to say about Jared Goff. I'm sure I'm going to want some Lions stacks, and I'm sure there'll be teams I'm at pick 112 where I have Amon-Ra and I need a quarterback, and I'll take some Jared Goff. But I'm really indifferent about him. He's just the guys like Jared Goff are just kind of necessary evils to best ball. You're going to have some, but I'm not getting out over my skis for a pocket passer, even on a good offense with he's got upside, but it's not, it's not even Dak or Burrow or something like that. Why Dad says, now that we're waiting for the for Underdog to drop contests, I have a DK question. DK question. We have an idea what the Underdog ADP looks like. Do you think the wide receiver avalanche will be worse in DK with the PPR and bonuses? Excellent question. No, I do not. And that has nothing to do with your logic, which makes perfect sense. On DraftKings, it is full point PPR and bonuses. So 100 yards receiving gets you 3 extra points. You would think with that scoring structure, it would be much more heavy on the wide receivers. It is not. It is not. DraftKings drafters. I don't mean drafters. It's the folks that draft on DraftKings. Not amazing. So there's a ton of potential values. There's a ton of potential values at the wide receiver position. And so it does make the dynamics a little bit interesting, because I would prefer to draft Still mostly zero RB because of the scoring settings that you outlined, but also I can a lot of the times get some wide receivers that are going in the 5th round and like the 8th round on DraftKings. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, I think Rachaad White's fine. I think the concern for Rachaad White is that you really didn't want to lose anything around that pass catching. That's his best. The reason why Rachaad White is good is because he earned the volume, but he earned the volume because he's a good pass catcher. It's his best trait. That's also Bucky's best trait, and so it's a peculiar one. I think generally speaking, I agree with you. It's a good run out, but it's an interesting one to consider because he's not if he's going to lose any pass game work, yikes, because he's not going to be an efficient runner, and we weren't really like banking on him for some super efficient running season, which reminds me of this. Cobra Kai asks, Rico Dowdle or Zeke, pick which one you like more for 2024. It is easily Zeke for me. I won't rehash for the folks that are hanging out live with all the conversation that was in the Discord, but my general Rico Dowdle take is that he is just a back end of the roster NFL running back. And if he was something more, he would have proven it at some point over the last 8 years. And he hasn't. Doesn't mean he won't ever touch the field. It doesn't mean that you can't disagree. But I think if they had all this faith in Rico Dowdle, we would have seen it before now. He's been on the Cowboys for a long time. And yeah, they brought him back because he's super cheap and he knows the team. And then they brought Zeke in, who fits to me like exactly what I'm not saying this is what they should be looking for. I'm saying to me fits exactly what the Cowboys are looking for. That we're going to be a pass first team. We don't want to spend a lot of money at the running back position. And we know and trust Zeke to do the things that we need running backs to do as a team that's slinging the ball all over the yard. Get in there, get the little tough bullshit 2-yard carries when we need you to, protect Dak, and leak out and catch passes as checkdowns. Like, our offense isn't built around, this isn't the Derrick Henry Titans. This isn't, the old Ravens with Greg Roman or the new Chargers with Greg Roman. They're not built that way. And I think Zeke fits what they're looking for. Am I like going crazy over Zeke? No. I mean, I'm not going crazy over that type of a aging running back who's definitely not going to be a hyper efficient runner. But I think he has value in drafts because what I just outlined is all the high value touches. I don't really care about getting 2-yard carries at your own 30-yard line. Like, that's 0.2 points. Catch one pass for 0 yards. It's 0.5 on Underdog or 1 on DraftKings. And if he's getting the goal line work, which I do suspect, say whatever we want. We can say whatever we want in our take about Ezekiel. I also don't think he's good. That's fine. We can have that take. If NFL teams disagree, your take doesn't matter. It doesn't. If they give him the ball, like at a certain cost on the Cowboys offense, I think that the guy makes sense. And my expectation is that they're going to give Zeke the ball because he's going to be out there for the two things that I outlined. Protect Dak, catch the ball. That can lead you into getting carries as well. And he's probably going to be trusted to get goal line carries because teams just trust Zeke to get goal line carries. So the next thing you know, you have all the high value touches in the Cowboys offense, but you don't have to pay the round 2 price that you paid for Tony Pollard last year. And he's not Tony Pollard, but Tony Pollard wasn't Tony Pollard. I just want some catches and some touchdowns on the Cowboys. And I think he's fine. I just would not bet on Rico to be that guy because even Zeke did that last year in the NFL. Like that was Zeke's job in the NFL last year, and he did it pretty well. We can hate on him, and I don't like him either, but it is what it is. Sometimes we have to accept reality. Let's see here. Hello. My good friend Felix is back. Underdog launching. We got to wait for DraftKings to launch for Felix to dominate all of our souls again. Let's see here. Will you hate me if I'm drafting Ray Davis ahead of Singletary and I single-handedly raise his ADP? Yes and no, because I like Singletary more than Ray Davis. So I guess I'll just have to fade my guy Ray if you're going to ruin ruin his ADP. I like it. We got so many Lions fans around. Something about Spike Week brings in the Lions fans. I don't know what it is. Oh, this is a great question. Jose says, for someone who never played any UD tournaments, what tournament would you recommend to start in and why? I didn't even see, I should have had this prepped and ready. I apologize. I didn't even see everything that's happening at launch. Let's start with Best Ball Mania. What I would generally recommend to new players is lower stakes. So set whatever your bankroll is. I want to spend $50, $100, $500, $1,000. Everybody has their own thing. And then for me, especially as a newer player, but for me too, as a person who's been playing this for a long time, I believe pretty passionately it's more of a volume game, meaning this isn't like a lot of these other games where I can come in, I can set the team exactly that I want it to be, right? Because I think this team is the best possible team you could have for 2024. These are snake drafts. And so I can't get every single thing I want, right? We might do this draft here in a minute and I'm going to get pick 12. And then the next draft I might get pick 1. So I can't even get physically the players that I want on every single team. And then even if you could, the amount of variance that exists over the course of an NFL, not even just an NFL season, an NFL off season. I think that your season is going to be made by my season last year, and every year up until this point has been made by one team. And I drafted almost 800 teams last year. I drafted almost 800 teams last year, and it all came down to one, which was pretty live at the end of Best Ball Mania that we're talking about here last year. And so I would want to get into whatever the lowest stakes was that allowed me to get as much volume in. And then the other thing from a new player perspective is you're probably not going to be at your best the moment that you first hop in. It's going to take reps for me. I'm creating freaking content around this and selling rankings and stuff like that. And I need reps every new summer to get accustomed to ADP, to get accustomed to exactly what I like in certain spots in the draft. Do I prefer the elite quarterback? Do I like the teams better when I wait on quarterback? Do I like taking Sam Laporta in the 3rd round, or do I prefer to wait for Jake Ferguson or something like that? You got to figure all those things out. And the only way to do it is by drafting. Doing it is you cannot figure it out unless you physically do the drafts. And so as a new player, that would be my goal, getting reps in the best way possible so that I'm not burning money. And so we're talking about Best Ball Mania today. I do think this Best Ball, if your bankroll is huge as a new player and $25 is nothing to you, then I think this Best Ball Mania tournament is a really good one. I think they did an awesome job with the payout structure. So if $25 is totally fine, paying $25 per team to draft, go for it. If you're scaling it down to a little bit of a lesser bankroll, they're going to have tournaments, what they call the puppy is what Underdog calls them. They are $3 or $5? $5? How am I forgetting this now? Someone will correct me in the chat. It's the lower stakes to $5, right? They launched so many tournaments last year. I can't keep them all straight. But they're going to have a bunch of these other tournaments. They're going to have $3 tournaments where you can only what were these called last year? Now I forget. They're always dog names, so I forget which one is which. But they're going to have poodles and Pomeranians, and what those are a lot of the teams like a $3 entry. Anybody can only draft 20 teams. So if that's something that's concerning to you, you going in against a bunch of people drafting 150, I don't think that matters at all personally to your success. But if that's something that concerns you, there's other tournaments, lower stakes, that you can go and draft on Underdog. They're going to have a ton of different options for you. And so long-winded way of answering that question, but hopefully that helps. All right. It's noon my time. Thank you, guys. Don't count on that, Josh. Also, I would say that we didn't do a lot of breaking of ADP last year because all the guys that I was flag planting kept falling. Your thoughts on Jonnu Smith? God, he's a tough one. Your thoughts on Jonnu Smith? He was great last year. Sorry, my drink is a little too sour this morning. It's like a workout type mix thing for after this show, which of course I thought would be leading to the end now, not to the beginning, but third party issues. He was great last year in limited run, but tight end was a 0 in Miami the last couple of years. I don't know if it's the system or Smythe just sucks that bad. Well, I think it's possible it's a little bit of both, but what we do need to remember is that McDaniel comes from Shanny. Mike McDaniel comes from the Shanahan line. The Shanahan line has had George Kittle. Shanahan line had Jordan Reed. If you really want to get some deep cuts back in there, remember Jordan Reed on back then, the Washington Redskins, the Washington Commanders, the Washington football team. So tight end has been a thing in this offense. What I believe about McDaniel and the Shanahan offense is they certainly have a way they prefer to do things, and it's kind of structured around all this chaos, right, in motion and and speed, of course, and getting the ball into their playmakers' hands and deception. But they care about players making plays, and so I am more bullish on Jonnu Smith certainly than Durham Smythe. If he's a 0 like Durham Smythe was, would I be surprised? No, not at all. But he's very much so in my late round tight end pool because, as you said, I think that it's very, very possible that the tight end thing has nothing to do with what they've actually like wanted to do. They just haven't had the skill set there, right? Like the Patriots want to have the Giants last year would love to have had a wide receiver dominating targets. They just didn't have anybody that could do it and produce at a high level. Now they have Malik Neighbors. I'm not saying that Jonnu Smith is Malik Neighbors, but right, things change when the talent on your team changes. The smart football coaches are aware of that and don't try to square peg round hole and say, this is my system. This is how we do things. If you don't have the guys, right? If your offense is built around a tight end and Durham Smythe is your tight end 1, buddy, it ain't going to work. And so the good coaches will get the ball to their best players and utilize their best players. And I don't know if Jonnu fits that mold, but I'm willing to take some shots on him. All right, here we go. All right, let's do it, shall we? You guys are going to get in a different draft than me. Watch, because I'm slow. Whoops, that's NHL. All right. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. It's already over 150 entries. Everybody was just waiting. D-Max done. Billy's out here doing his design work. Yeah. Good Lord, man. This is 400 entries in 2 minutes. Wait, why does my account say $13? Did this happen to anybody else? That's funny. All right. Let's ride. I'm excited. I seen Shaunesty's name in there. Anybody else? Did anybody else even get in this one? Rake back. There you go. Rake back. Rake back. Good call. Good call. Good call. Shows you how little I ended up. I guess. Was the rake back for all drafts? God, that's. I mean, I love $13. Also, at 13, lucky 13. My college football number. Pretty sure that means this is going to be the winning. Look, I'm not an expert in like karma and coincidences and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's a coincidence that my rakeback live on the very first Best Ball Mania stream of the year was the exact number that I wore when I played college football. So I'm pretty sure this is the winner. But what I will say, I'm picking the old end of the first round, the 12th overall pick, which is a interesting spot to pick this year. Saw yesterday, so I can just give it away. My 12th overall. I don't know that. I don't know how the. I don't know. I am also a little stitious. I don't know how the ADP is ultimately going to settle, but I think the top 11 is like really pretty much locked in now. It's these guys you see here: Puka, AJ Brown, and who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. Who the hell am I missing? Puka, AJ Brown. Oh, and Garrett Wilson. Duh. So I think that, yeah, and then you'll probably see Garrett Wilson go right here at the 111, I think. So then after that is when the draft really kind of opens up. And I'm pretty comfortable, honestly, with the top 11, just kind of taking in. So there goes Garrett Wilson. So for me, it would not be me if I didn't do this. But you know who my actual 12th and 13th overall players are? These two. Marvin Harrison and Devontae Adams. So you're seeing a little behind the scenes on those are my 12th and 13th overall players. Have them above the running backs, and I have them above Drake London and the rest of these wide receivers. Yeah, for anyone unfamiliar with Rakeback, if you they call it their gladiator program, but a lot of other sites through the many years of gambling and such have done a thing where you play X amount and they take how the site makes money on these drafts, right, is what they call rake. So of all the money that goes into the tournament, they take a percentage. Just rough math, it's usually somewhere in the 10% range. Some sites go higher, somewhere in between 15%, whatever. But just for easy math, we'll use 10%. So they take 10%. If you continue to draft and draft and draft, they'll give you a percentage based on how much you've drafted of that 10% cut you gave to them. They'll give you some of it back if you draft a ton of teams, right? They're rewarding their loyal customers by reducing their own intake on them because it's better for them the more people draft in volume because it fills the contest. So I'm really fascinated to see. We see the running back run there. I think that's going to be. I don't even know that I would call it an edge because I'm not saying that fading those second round running backs is like some significant edge, but like you saw that Marvin Harrison and Devontae are my guys there, and then I think Drake London will settle in there as well, which is pretty hilarious. But I think nobody feels that comfortable with anyone outside of the top 11. And that wide receiver group is so you can nitpick all of them. Like they're all good football players, but you can nitpick all of them, right? The 49ers is like, who even is the wide receiver one on the 49ers? There's so many mouths to feed and all this, right? DJ Moore, now he has Keenan Allen and Robert Dunze. Nico Collins has Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs. Malik Neighbors is on the Giants. Do we want him even on the Giants, right? Chris Olave is on the Saints. Is that awesome? I don't know. Mike Evans, a year older, right? Blah, 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 blah. Jalen Waddle, he didn't do it last year. The wide receivers to me, kind of after Devontae, but probably just after Marv, maybe to some people after Garrett Wilson, the wide receivers, it's like you can nitpick all those guys. So I don't know how much this running back group is going to fall because I think the general market is not going to feel comfortable with these wide receivers. But I'm pretty darn confident that I want like these guys. I have the same concerns that just about everybody else does about this entire. It was actually one of the hardest areas to rank. Is once I got. I mean, at first I was like, am I really ranking Marvin Harrison Jr. 12th overall, 12th overall? And then once you walk through it, you're like, yeah, who the fuck else is going to be 12th overall? So, it's a really tricky spot from kind of the 112 down to like in the 30s. It's a very interesting spot. And so I think the market's they love their running backs. They can't help it with their running backs, so much so that I think even like, zero RB bros are similar to last year. Even the zero RB bros could not pass on Pollard. They could not pass on Jacobs. They could not pass on Saquon. They couldn't pass on these guys. And so the fact that now the wide receivers there are even like a little bit murkier, clearly me talking about zero running back, but I think it's going to be a pretty darn big edge. Jason says, what are your thoughts on the 49ers? Is there smoke using decent capital on wide receivers in the draft? No. So it's an awesome question. A Schefter came out and said I believe the quote was, it is extremely unlikely that they trade Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel at this point. That's my stance as well. I think these picks, Pearsall and Jacob Cowing, were planning ahead to the future. One of them or both could be something this year, but I know I want. Okay, so hold on. I know I want Tank, Cup, Keenan. Oh, Rashi. Okay, let's see. So the question earlier about like as a new player, what should you do in these first drafts? See, like I don't even know my own I don't even know my own rankings. Okay, I have Keenan, Cup, and Rashi right next to each other. I'm gonna take Cup. I think I have him highest. Shit, no, I don't have him highest, but that's okay. Maybe I'll be adjusting that after this, and I'll move. I right now I have Keenan, Rashi, Cup, but with Rashi is kind of the inverse of what we talked about at the top, or Vadim asked it earlier about like how do you try to manipulate these drafts, right, from an ADP perspective. I think the Rashi ADP, because of this suspension concern, is nonsense. Like I said, I have him ranked around 30 overall, but just because I have him ranked at 30 overall doesn't mean the best use of my 30th overall pick is on him. I could potentially get him at a steeper discount in this draft or later, including maybe even with Marvin Harrison or Devontae Adams. It's not like I'm going to be completely ever locked out of those player combinations. And I'm definitely not going to be locked out of a nice price on Rashi Rice, especially like, man, if they announce a suspension, he's going to fall even further. And so I'm just kind of playing a little bit of that waiting game, even though I think it's silly. That's great. Shuby says, please don't take Lamar. I have the exact same start going. We'll see it. Well, we'll chop. What's 1.5 million to first, 1.5 million to first, and 750,000 to second. So, we'll both still be millionaires, Shuby, when we have the same team. Just chop. Or we can coin flip, one player and see who wins. Yeah, Hoosier says 49ers planning ahead. You mean like the Falcons? Yeah, Jesus, man. At least the 49ers are doing it. And again, if you're in the Discord, I have made it well known I'm not a Ricky Pearsall guy at all. I certainly would not. Even if you liked him, I don't think it makes any sense drafting him at the end of the first round, especially given how wide receiver played out. You talk about opportunity cost type stuff. Even if you really like Ricky Pearsall, I think given there's probably other wide receivers you also liked who went far cheaper, that I don't know that I like that, but at least they did it right, at a premium position where those guys can play this year and on into the future. They didn't do it with the 8th overall pick on a quarterback when they have Kirk Cousins signed for the next 4 years. It does. Von Gogh says the second round looks gross. That's what I'm telling you. Like, I probably spent the most time. I ranked 240 players, right? So like, if I was in a draft and all of my favorite players got selected, here's the 240. Give or take the positional, right? Because there's a bunch of quarterbacks and tight ends and such. So anyway, and see, like Rashi falls to 50. I was still 9 picks away from getting him, but it wasn't like that far away from getting him. So to that point earlier, but this was starting once I got really comfortable with Marv and then even Devontae actually. But like from the beginning of the second to like now to like late fourth is tough, man. Like it is. I don't know how anyone can have like an extreme level of confidence from the beginning of the second to like late fourth. Honestly, it is tough. I ranked 240 players and I spent probably the most time ranking second and third round picks because I just kept, like I have pretty strong takes and conviction about like, okay, really like the Bengals backfield. So it's like, I know, I'll massage exactly what rank I put them at, but I know about where I want them, where I want to take them, how I want to put them ahead of the market, blah, 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 right? Devin Singletary thing. Like I know I like Devin Singletary. So, specifically where he goes, you massage it a little bit, but I know I want him at XYZ. All those, like, you start thinking it through and you're like, well, no, maybe I like Ayuk. No, well, how far do I put Tank up? No, I don't even love Diggs, but I don't want Diggs super late. You just start the mental gymnastics. It's crazy once you start right away in the second round. Sudoku asked, no regular season prizes this year. Correct. No regular season prizes, which I am incredibly thankful for. I understand some people. Wow. Mahomes still here. Damn it. Shaughnessy takes Christian Kirk. I actually really like Christian Kirk. I might be taking old Patrick Mahomes, and I am. Mahomes, Pitts, slam dunk. For awareness, for anybody that wants to know, in the almanac, Mahomes I have at 48th overall, and Kyle Pitts at 49th. Look at that. Isn't that funny? And I got him at 60 and 61. I'm pretty hyped about that. I'm pretty hyped about this start. That's pretty sexy for the 112. Marvin Harrison Jr., Devontae Adams, Tank Dell, Cooper Kupp. A nice little blend of rookie, old guy, rookie, old guy. But like, if Devontae and Kupp are still Devontae and Kupp, alongside Mahomes, Pitts, and those two youngins, this is my kind of team. Seems to be working well, so that's good. While we're at a little break, this is not our only show today. Posted on Twitter and in the Discord. We've had a couple of scheduling conflicts, and then kind of there was the big board closed, and we weren't really doing these NFL draft streams. We'll be right back to it tonight. Myself and Rob Coakley grinding drafts every Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, here on this channel. So if you want to hit that subscribe button, that would be awesome. And we'll be back every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then I am back every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern doing drafters streams. So you can get your fix of underdog. You can get your fix of drafters. We will also be doing DraftKings streams, which I believe that launches on Friday, I think. So we'll definitely be doing something on Friday. So be on the lookout for that as well. I don't have like a schedule necessarily of DraftKings drafts, but we will be doing a lot of those as well. So if you're here and you enjoy any of those sites or all of those sites, we'll be drafting them every week from now until the start of the season, starting tonight at 7 p.m. All right, let's see what we can find out here. So one of the things that jumped out to me, I'm really into George Pickens post-draft. That I like Hollywood, but that is a steep price on Hollywood. Hollywood went before Rashi. Wow. Interesting. Damn it. Just saw Worthy went. That was, what is Worthy's ADP? I probably should have planned that out before I took Mahomes. See, that was my hope. I think I'm definitely much closer to this 71. Let's see where I have Worthy. Right now, Worthy is the priority chief for me. Gosh dang it. Worthy, I have 70 overall on Xavier Worthy. So he went about right where I'm expecting. So we'll have to see if we're doing anything with Chiefs stacks because all the Chiefs are gone. Kelsey, Pacheco, Rice, Hollywood, and Worthy. It's funny how quickly that shifted. You put a couple of sexy names in that offense finally, and now everybody's taking all the Chiefs. The last couple of years, it's been like nothing but Chiefs cheap other than Travis Kelce. All right, 4 picks. Man, Kittle's going 77th. Wow. That's crazy. Jalen Warren at 73. Joe Mixon, I hate to be the Joe Mixon guy, but Joe Mixon at 67 looks good, especially when David Montgomery is at 68, Aaron Jones at 69. I do like Ramondre. T- 74th overall, Deontay Johnson. I don't think I can do that one, especially 78th overall, Chris Godwin. This is such a good sweet spot for quarterbacks. I'm not going to go double elite quarterback, but the price on Dak and Kyler is beautiful. Beautiful. So you guys are going to be disgusted, but Najee is my top overall player. And I have Jake Ferguson ahead of Brock Bowers. Nothing like kicking off with a Najee team. But Najee is my top player here. And we're sticking to the ranks. Obviously, I also just took 2 elite tight ends, and 100%. Welcome to the dark side. And Rob on B. Kurt's phone, bringing up Kadarius Toney, who is not going to make the team, right? I think he's going to get cut. I don't know his contract, so I could be misspeaking. He wasn't a contract I was looking at in the offseason to understand cuts and stuff, and maybe I should have been, but I'm not sure if Kadarius Toney makes the team. Hello, Archer. But something I am going to continue into at least these early drafts, at least until the market adjusts a little bit, is being pretty heavy, not just elite tight end, but double elite tight end. I talked about Ben Sinnott earlier that I like a lot for these early drafts, but especially if I'm 0 RB pretty heavy, and I do think there are still some later mid to late round wide receivers that are some decent prices. And I don't think there are really late round tight ends or late round quarterbacks that are great. There's mid-tier quarterbacks that I like. They're not mid-tier tight ends that I like. And there's not really much at the late round tight end position. I start to just continue to gravitate to, kind of a double elite tight end. And I'm counting, Jake Ferguson and Evan Ingram and David Njoku and those guys in that elite tight end bunch. Let me run down. So Laporta, McBride, Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, Kincaid, Kittle, Ingram, Ferguson, Bowers. So there's 10. Njoku, 11. So out of those 11 tight ends, that would be what I would kind of classify as elite. That's Njoku and Ingram and Bowers and stuff is a little, and Ferguson probably is like a little bit of a loose definition of that. It's probably more like Kittle up is what most people would call elite tight end. But that's definitely going to be something I'm still heavy on, that I was also heavy on in the early draft cycle. Hello, Drew. This is funny that you say that. 1 second. 1 second. Let's scroll on down. He says, give me Ladd over Christian Watson and JSN. Ladd McConkey, 77th overall. Christian Watson, 79th. JSN, 80th. You're in the right place, my friend. You're in the right place. I was hoping, what's Ladd's ADP? That's another guy. You don't see, this is the early draft thing. Yeah, we'll see 113. Part of this was Worthy, Ladd. Some of those guys were who I was looking to target specifically in this range. Why am I comfortable taking the tight ends? Why am I comfortable taking Mahomes? It's like, well, I think Worthy and Ladd are both like 2 to 3 rounds underpriced, so I can get them a little bit later. Nope. Not with you guys. All right, let's see who keeps flying off the board. AD Mitchell at 90. Curtis Samuel at 96. It's a good price. Yeah, this is early drafts are nothing but a game of chicken. That's all it is. I hope you don't mean on my rankings, Michael, because I feel like I'm pretty aggressive on that. Well, at least the rookies. There. If you like AD Mitchell and some of those guys, you might think my rankings are also too low. But the sites, until ADP adjusts, the rookie wide receivers will all be too low. They will not stay where they're at right now. I do have to give I'm not a fan of Keon Coleman, the prospect, but obviously I can see he's on the Bills now, so I have moved him up. But I also specifically I didn't even move him up for the landing spot. I moved him up for his personality. The interviews and the press conferences from Keon Coleman are just beautiful. The Macy's coat, I mean, I like the kid. And so, look, I would like to root for the guys I would, maybe enjoy having a beer with or something like that. And so we can move Keon Coleman up the ranks and get a few shares. I see your question, Jason. Well, hit this 9-10 turn, and then because this is where things start to get interesting. Because, like I said, I don't know my own rankings like perfectly just yet, and I don't love to. I guess I need to load them in because you can flip back and forth now, right? But oh yeah, this is God. Damn it. I was going to take Zach Moss. Shaughnessy is killing me here, but it's okay. It's okay. We will go Singletary and Chase Brown. I have Zach Moss ahead of Chase Brown, but again, this running back pocket, you want to talk about why to do zero running back. Not only because the running backs are pulled up, it's because of this running back pocket. 1 second. I can even show. Let's see here. So, I get past the Ken Walkers and Aaron Joneses of the world, like Zamir, Najee, Jalen Warren, Zach Moss, Zach Moss, and the Zach Brown band. Zach Moss, Chase Brown, Devin Singletary, DeAndre Swift, Mostert, D Montucci, I have a little bit lower, but B-Rob, Pollard, Benson, Connor. I don't know how I feel about Javonte in that ranking. We'll see. But Tajay, Brooks, if you like Eckler, Kendre, Sharbs, Corum, like there's just a never-ending string of kind of these either like good committee backs on good offenses, right? Or like talented players or what, just kind of this like maybe Zamir to Connor, Zamir to Brooks, Zamir to Kendre. I don't know. But that's like 40 picks. There's like 40 picks of guys that go in a range like that where it's like, I don't know, I can get like 4 of those guys. And gosh dang it, I can get 4 of those guys and superstar wide receivers or superstar quarterbacks or superstar tight ends. And I don't have Saquon. Like, I'm pretty comfortable with that. Michael says, don't know your rankings, but I was talking about, Fantasy Pros, Draft Sharks. But I mean, 100%. I think it's a big difference you'll see here is it's Fantasy Sharks or Fantasy Sharks. Fantasy Pros and Draft Sharks, like great sites, good people over there, good smart analysts and everything. But like it's so season long focused, and it's a little more traditional in the way that they like put together rankings and such. And here specifically, where we're entirely best ball focused, where we're really focused on specifically on like best ball tournaments, right? And these trying to get first out of that hundreds of thousands of teams in this really crazy, unique game to exactly what Michael's saying. Like we're going to be higher on rookies, contingent value guys that can absolutely be stone cold zeros and maybe project for nothing in week 1, but we're trying to get first, right? So we need the home run swings a little bit more here and there. And like that's just like not the way that some of those other sites do it, which is it's not a knock. It's not necessarily right or wrong. It's just what we do here is so much more focused, geared specifically towards these best ball tournaments. Like you probably can't take our ranking. I think you could take our rankings and draft in your home league. You're going to get a 0 running back team, but which is good probably. But there's nuance, right? There's guys ranked higher for me here with our best ball stuff than even I would necessarily want to take them in best ball, because at the end of the day, or that I would want to take them in a managed league, because in a managed league, like I got to pick when to start people, and specifically a wide receiver that does get that can get a little murky from time to time. Like Xavier Worthy, I'm gonna try to draft a good amount of Xavier Worthy in these best ball tournaments. I don't know how comfortable I'm ever going to feel starting him. Certainly in like half PPR, but in best ball, who gives a shit? I just get to soak up his good games. And so there's a lot of that kind of nuance. Jason says any teams that made multiple non-skill. Okay. So a team that did not draft skill position players that you see improving overall offensive efficiency. That is a really good question. Let me think. Let me nibble on this one. I need to think about this one because I'm not sure what my answer is just yet. Interesting one along those lines is the Cowboys. And I don't know that I would say improving offensive efficiency, but they improved. I see B. Kurt mentioning the offensive line upgrades, and they improved the offensive line. I think that's what I got here. Sharps for sure. Ty Chandler, Kendrick. I got Kendre over Ty Chandler. I do still really like Troy Franklin, actually. We're going to take Kendre. It's the offensive line upgrade teams, I think. The Cowboys improved the offensive line, which was big. And then the interesting thing about the Cowboys, why I'm excited, like I have Ferguson really high. I have CD at the 101. I have Dak way ahead of ADP in the rankings because I think every signal they've given us is they're the pass game, right? Everybody, we're having all these like Zeke versus Dowdle debates, and are they going to bring in a running back? And like, I think what the indications have been, right? Like, let's read the tea leaves. We improved the offensive line. and we did not add any running back worth a shit. And the running back that we just actually signed is really not an efficient runner anymore. He's a pass protector and a pass catcher. So what does that mean? We just lean into our passing game. We're going to sling it all over the field. So from an efficiency perspective, that's the kind of team that improves their offensive efficiency by sheer fact of not running the ball, because it's Dak throwing to CD and Ferguson and Cooks and Tolbert or Flournoy. I got to do some research on this Flournoy kid. He's in the rankings, and I'll be totally honest with you, that's one I don't know about yet. He's in the rankings because the Cowboys drafted him, but I'm not a Ryan Flournoy expert. I can fully admit that. But I think it's like some of that. The Steelers make sense, although it's Arthur Smith. But Arthur Smith has had some efficient offenses, and I think there's some interesting talent on their offense. Pickens, Freiermuth, obviously the running backs, and some nice O-line upgrades. And then I think Arthur Smith has the potential to get some pretty nice use out of Roman Wilson. And I think we could see some splash plays from like Calvin Austin as an ancillary wide receiver for the Steelers. So I think the Steelers and Cowboys make a lot of sense. Make a lot of sense. Rams, I don't know about improving efficiency. They're pretty efficient already. But I was just thinking they did a little bit of offensive line stuff as well, if I remember correctly, and didn't do, other than Corum, of course, didn't do much at the skill positions. And so improving the offensive line, if Cooper Kupp gets healthy, you have a year 2 Puka, year 3, year 2.5, Kyron Williams, Demarcus Robinson is back, which sounds really stupid, but he did help them down the stretch. He was better than Van Jefferson and Tutu Atwell. Maybe Corum can help spelling a little bit. Kyron, I could see the Rams. But that's a good question. I like that question. But I'm pretty on the Cowboys thing. I'm pretty on the Cowboys pass game, and I don't think people are going to think about it that way. I don't think people are we're going to do the debates of Rico versus Zeke, and I'm just going to draft Dak, CD, Ferguson stacks. I think. And you can throw the running back in there too, but I would like the running back better on that stack, I think, than just trying to figure out how useful Zeke and Dowdle are. Ricky Pearsall, 134. Okay. Not going to have any of that. This is going to be a naked Mahomes team or what? Okay. I do like Marshawn Lloyd. I do not love Chuba. Let's get some queuing going here, baby. I like Gibby. I like Jalen Polk. I do like Corley. I like Burton. See, this is the fun part of the draft. Good question. I can understand Pitt running backs getting a boost because of the O-line upgrade, but does Pitt not exercising Najee's option bother you? No, because I don't think anyone should ever exercise the 5th-year option on a running back. I think anybody that has done it is stupid. All right, let's see what we got here. Cousins. I think we got to keep waiting on quarterback. I'm taking Roman Wilson. He's a pretty high priority target for me right now. Doesn't get much better than the minimal target competition that he has on an offense that I'm pretty excited for. I am going to take Marshawn Lloyd then too. This is funny. So Versaire says 5 running backs on this roster already. Are you okay? It's funny because this is, I think, the thing that I know you're not. I know you're joking, obviously. But this is the thing that the casual person will like think about zero running. Like, oh, you just never draft running backs? Like, no, I draft more running backs. I draft more running backs than everyone else does in quantity. I totally understand the value of running backs. It's just I understand that the value of what I can get from these later guys when they hit and then add them to the superstars at every other position. I can create super teams by doing it. I actually draft a ton more, and specifically in that round 8 to round 13 window is just like running back heaven for me. It's all these guys. Like, I mean, so let's look at this roster really quickly. So we start Marvin Harrison, Devontae Adams, Tank Dell, Cooper Kupp. So pretty darn good top 4. We go to Mahomes and Pitts. All right, boom, got quarterback and tight end locked down with 4 superstar wide receivers. Then we come to that. So end of the 7th, whatever, 7-8 turn. 8th round is like where you're going to start to get into, for me, the 7th, 8th round is where you're going to start to get into those running backs, right? I didn't draft all these guys for the audio listeners, but right, Najee, DeAndre Swift, Mostert, Zamir. I am kind of, you want to talk about not planning appropriately? I have Zamir ahead of Najee, and I took Najee because I was not planning. So I gave the spiel about you need to plan and know who your targets are and put them in the queue, and then I didn't do it. But a good example as to why I have Zamir ahead, or why you draft off rankings, but I kind of like drafting off ADP and knowing your rankings better. But so anyway, Zamir, I should have taken Zamir, but Zamir, Zach Moss, Singletary, Chase Brown, Trey Benson, Brian Robinson, Sharps, Corum. If you like Gus, Kendre, Jalen Wright, Ty Chandler, like there's all of these guys where I can just live in that zone and get 5 of those guys, 6 of those guys. With superstar wide receivers, I can come back and still sprinkle, right? So I come back, I get Mahomes, best quarterback of all time, at pick 60, Kyle Pitts and Jake Ferguson, bunch of running backs. Now I can double back, right, for some of my favorite wide receivers to polish up this team to get me to probably 7 wide receivers. Take some of my rookies. Corley goes, Wandale goes. I like those guys. Mims, Burton, Polk. I like those guys. See, it's a weird, it's like people talk about like just oftentimes people just talk about the players that you like. And of course I have a lot of players that I like, but this draft is such a good, to me, indicator of who are the players that I'm going to like the most are the ones that fit into that kind of draft pattern. Like how this team is coming together, not necessarily the exact players, not exactly 4 wide receivers and then quarterback and the tight end, but like the general flow of give me the superstar wide receivers. Maybe give me an elite quarterback, but give me elite tight end. Give me that. I want to hammer that pocket of running backs. I like them all. There's 25 guys that go there, and I like them. I like them all to some extent. So I just want to be way overweight that. I want to be way overweight the elite tight ends. I want to be way overweight the elite wide receivers, and then kind of, a little bit of balancing act thereafter. Sometimes elite quarterback, sometimes not. Sometimes 2 elite tight ends, sometimes 1. So, and I'm not going to have 0 late round tight end, but you get the point, right? Like that kind of flow of the draft is what I feel like more than any individual player. That's the thing I feel the strongest about, the most confident in. Trying to scroll and look at my rankings to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Oh gosh, ADP cuts off, and there's some good players still. Okay, so I'm waiting on. I'm definitely going to take Javon Baker here, but I'll talk you through my process. I really like Roschon, but I know there are a couple later round running backs that I also like. And so I'm going to take Javon, and I'm trying to decide if I close out So this is going to be a 2-7-7-2 team, 2 quarterbacks, 7 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. I obviously have the 2 tight ends. So I only got 3 picks left to make. And I'm trying to figure out if I take Roshan or this would be so disingenuous. Like, come on. I can pass on Roshan for a draft to get my guy Malik Washington. But also, I kind of think from a structural perspective, I have 4 star wide receivers. I have 4 star wide receivers, but that's still only 4, and I'm only drafting 7. And so I would like to get my kind of priority rookies around that, like thinking about comparing the archetypes. I think I definitely was in consideration, but I wanted to get my guy Malik on my first on my first team. It was total like a selfish situation. And also, if you look, like the May stack is a priority for me. May Javon or May Polk, Hunter Henry included as well. Excuse me. But there's so many quarterbacks here. Like you see, the top of the board is all. I don't really want Matthew Stafford, but I do have Cooper Kupp. I would prefer Drake May, but I would be fine with Justin Fields or Russell Wilson because I have Roman Wilson, right? So like if this has to be a Justin Fields team, I got outs. You know what I mean? I have multiple quarterbacks I can take. I think May would be my favorite. But if I had to have Stafford, if I have to have Fields or even Russ, if I have to just take, naked JJ McCarthy, naked Daniel Jones, like I think that those are fine. Like I think that any of those guys, any of these quarterbacks are really fine. So like if I'm comfortable with 6 different quarterbacks, but I just really want freaking Malik Washington on my team, I'll do that. And then the Roshan thing was like, I really do like Roshan, but there are some other running backs later that I'm also pretty interested in. Kirk asks, is there not a regular season winner this year? There is not. There is not. Only the playoff prizes, which I'm pretty excited about. I understand, and I totally understand people that liked and there goes Kamani Vidal. Sean, are you watching this? You son of a, you know what? Your team is good, and you drafted a lot of guys that I like. That's a good team. Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Devonta Smith with Jalen Hurts, Christian Kirk. I love Christian Kirk, which makes me kind of sick to my stomach, but I do. Ken Walker, JSN, DeAndre Swift, Zach Moss, Dallas Goedert for Eagle stack, Lawrence to go with Kirk. 2 rookies, Pearsall Polk, Gibby, Khalil Herbert, Kamani Vidal. Nice. A swap equity on our teams because you have a lot of the guys that I like. Let's see what like the 101 did. CMC draft. CMC, Josh Allen, Malik Neighbors. So what I do like is I don't like taking CMC and Josh Allen and starting 2 non-wide receivers. But if you're going to do it, coming back for the rookie, I think is a pretty smart strategy. I don't love coming right back with Dalton Kincaid, but I like elite tight end. I get the stack with Josh Allen. Then comes back for Hollywood. But so now you're through 7 rounds with only 2 wide receivers. That gets tricky. Just loading up the Bills, I think is fine. Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir. So not a terrible recovery. I don't think you're And then the third quarterback, I wouldn't take Daniels and May on the Josh Allen team. I think that was where the 101 about made a pretty sexy Bills CMC team. But I would have just a minor little tweak. We're nitpicking, but I think that's the power of the elite quarterback is that you might be able to survive your lack of wide receiver firepower if you can lean into the elite quarterback. Not even like just wait for Drake May or just take Jaden Daniels. Like if Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen are not getting it done for you at the quarterback position, like something went terribly, terribly wrong. Your second round pick quarterback and then an 11th round pick quarterback, the 2 of them aren't getting it done. I think that's probably pretty bad. It's a overnight question from Andrew. Do you know when UD on Underdog updates ADPs? Is it overnight or in real time? It is overnight, and it is a 2-day rolling average or 3-day, couple day rolling average. So obviously tomorrow it will be a 1-day rolling average, but it updates overnight. at whatever time, and it is a rolling average of the last couple of days trailing. All right, 6 picks away from my last 2 spots here. A lot of those quarterbacks did dry up, but I'm a lot more comfortable with Justin Fields than the average person is. I know everybody's worried that he's going to start, but I have Patrick Mahomes. So I'm pretty comfortable with Fields on a team like I'm pretty comfortable with Fields on a lot of builds, but it's like if he never starts, the world isn't over. It's a 17th or 18th round pick. If he does start, awesome. He's way underpriced. If he starts eventually at some point in the season, awesome, because I just used Mahomes for the first X amount of weeks. So I think people get a little too squeamish about like specifically late round quarterbacks and if they'll start, when they'll start, whatever. I get it. It's scary, but play to win. Like just assume you took Mahomes in the 5th round. Just assume he's good and just assume he stays healthy. And don't plan for all the disasters. And Roshan falls all the way back. That's how it's done, my friends. I don't know if this is my perfect team, naked Mahomes, but I think it's okay. And my plan was not for Roshan to be here, and I'm pretty comfortable with Roshan. I actually have him ranked over Khalil Herbert. Yeah, and there's actually some decent wide receiver value. I don't expect that to maintain. For me personally, I think it's the rookie stuff and the like people just don't know yet like what to do, right? It's day one. It's hour one. It's the first. It's 52 minutes into the best ball season. I don't suspect that some of this will last forever, but I am pretty darn psyched about this team. I'll run it down one more time before we get out of here. Picking out of the 112 at the 1-2 turn, Marvin Harrison and Devontae Adams. That's my 12th and 13th overall players. Come back with Tank Dell, Cooper Kupp, obviously a little 0 running back start. Patrick Mahomes falls to 60. I have him ranked higher than that. I talked about that earlier. Same with Kyle Pitts. So I get elite quarterback, elite tight end. Then I get into the 0 RB window. Najee Harris, come back for my other elite tight end, which I also talked about as one of my strategies this year, Jake Ferguson. Devin Singletary, Chase Brown, Zach Charbonnet, Kendre Miller. Finally come back to wide receiver with Roman Wilson, who I'm pretty psyched for. Marshawn Lloyd, Javon Baker, Malik Washington, of course. How could it be me if I didn't leave a draft with Malik Washington? And then get my quarterback too, Justin Fields, to go with Roman Wilson. And Roshan Johnson falls all the way to the 20th round. I understand DeAndre Swift is there, but I'm in on 20th round. Roshan Johnson. All right. I got to get out of here because we got to come back in a few hours tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're not here earlier, myself and Rob Coakley back yet again tonight, drafting best ball teams here on the channel. Hit like, hit subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you guys a little bit later. If not, I'll see you Wednesday. I'll see you the rest of the summer because we'll be here drafting teams, having fun, being sickos the rest of the summer. Have a good night. That's the show. See you guys. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.